Yes.
Thank you.
9 illegal, I believe that. Next, new business. Number 8, would you read that, Ms. Green, please?
Be it enacted by the Quorum Court of Carroll County, State of Arkansas, an ordinance to be entitled, a supplemental appropriation ordinance, amending ordinance 2012-41, the 2013 budget ordinance, adding additional funds to line item 2001 in budgets for Department 0600A, Berryville Public Library, Department 0600B, Green Forest Public Library, and Department 0600C, Eureka Springs Turnkey Public Library. Whereas the demand of e-books has increased greatly, the funds necessary to purchase more e-books is needed. Now therefore be it enacted by the Quorum Court of Carroll County, State of Arkansas, Section 1. The sum of $5,000 is hereby transferred from carryover of each library to line item 2001 in each library budget.
Galen moves to adopt.
I'll second.
2 seconds. Lamont, second. Any discussion?
Yes, sir. Mr. Gene Ederline from the Library Board is here to explain what this is. This is not additional, this is just transfer carryover moving from. So this is money that's already in their budget.
Good morning. I'm Jean Elderwind, and I am administrator for the Carroll Madison Library System. And here, though, to talk with you about e-books and why we need additional funds in Carroll County to purchase more e-books. I've been the person in charge of the program for the last 2 years, and it's a service that we offer to all of our residents in Carroll County and Madison County. Last year, in May 2013, your libraries in Berryville, Eureka Springs, and Green Forest checked out approximately 21,000 items from their libraries. They have been very busy. Our e-book circulation has been over 1,200 in Carroll County in just this last month, May of 2013. The Library Board, the Carroll County Library Board, realized that it's been a great service and a great success. However, the lack of items to choose from for people downloading audiobooks and e-books has been noticed greatly, and that's probably our first and foremost complaint. And so those complaints have come to the Carroll County Library Board, and so they directed the librarians and me to come before you to put additional funds into their acquisitions to just be for downloadable audios and e-books. As you all know, the Carroll County Library has a dedicated tax fund, and their carryover would not be, the carryover is fine, and they feel that this would be a great time to go ahead, vacations coming on and all, to amp up e-book collections by using that fund. So in other words, no funds that would be spent for paper books and other items that we have in our libraries would be touched. This would be an additional amount to be dedicated for e-books and downloadable audio. Do you have any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Any more discussion? Call for the vote.
Mr. Deaton?
Yes.
Mr. Blake?
Yes.
Mr. McNeely?
Yes.
Mr. Mills?
Yes.
Mr. Phillips?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Mr. Ritchie?
Yes.
Mr. Riggs?
Yes.
Mr. Slaughter?
Yes.
Pass 9-0. Next item of business is under D. Would you read that, Jimmy?
Be it enacted by the Quorum Court of Carroll County, State of Arkansas, an ordinance to be entitled, a supplemental appropriation ordinance, amending ordinance 2012-41, the 2013 budget ordinance, changing a part-time position to a full-time position in Department 0600E, the Green Forest Public Library. Whereas the Green Forest Public Library is in need of a full-time employee and would like to have their part-time employee move into a full-time position. Now therefore be it enacted by the Quorum Court of Carroll County, State of Arkansas, Section 1, the sum of $15,231 is hereby transferred from carryover to the following line items. Line item 1001, salary, $10,000. Line item 1006, Social Security, $765. Line item 1008, Retirement, $1,490. Line item 1009, Insurance, $2,436. Line item 1010, Workers' Comp, $15. Line item 1011, Unemployment, $525, for a total of $15,231.
Okay, let's move to Don. Don, second. Any discussion?
Yes. Then again, this is not additional money, this is money that's taken out of the Green Force Carryover Fund. Dominique, the Green Force Librarian, is here to explain what her intention is for this position, and also sending the hours for the Green Force Public Library if the position is approved.
I think all y'all know me already. I'm the director at the Green Forest Public Library. Again, as you said, this is already money we've already got from our veterans tax base. I was going to use it as part of our expansion, but now we can use it as part of a full-time position. Our circulation increased from 2000 to 2012 by 93.65%, but we still have the same number of full-time employees. So the lowest bottom graders, but still the same number of vets, period. If we were to do this, we would be able to expand Saturday hours, be able to have more programs, I'd be able to more people to conferences. I also have full-time, part-time employees that is ready to assume that position. I have trained her since 2009, and I wouldn't lose her to another full-time position outside the library. So I've already got someone that I can keep, that I've already trained.
When did you start your report?
When did I start the report? June 4th, 2007.
Okay. Well, I think this is a credit to you.
Oh, well, thank you.
The amount that went up
Thank you.
this last year.
We've all libraries in Carroll County have gone up a lot. Circulation in the past 13 years, we haven't increased our full-time at all, so it's more of a load on all of us.
Are you not going to move into the building next door that you guys purchased yet, or what?
We don't have enough money yet raised. Due to the Attorney General's ruling, we'll have to fundraise all the money to break through the wall and renovate all of that. So we've just got to fundraise that amount, all of it, so got a lot of chili peppers coming up.
This money is just to pay this position for the rest of the year, right?
Just the position for the rest of the year.
And this will be combined with what you already have budgeted for the part-time position.
Well, the part-time I'm just going to leave there, and I'm not going to fill it until fall, probably.
Okay. So you want this full-time position, plus you want to replace your part-time.
My part-time I will replace later, though.
Right.
Later down in the fall, I've got some part-time kids working for me right now, so.
Okay, so I'm just trying to understand.
Okay.
This is the entire salary for this person for the rest of the year. They don't get what you have already budgeted for the part-time salary.
Right.
And the part-time salary you will hold in case you hire a part-time person.
Right.
You'll have what remains of that to pay that position.
Correct.
This is my opinion, when this person moves to full-time, you don't have a part-time person, because you're moving this person from part-time to full-time.
I do have an explanation though, because I take part in an Arkansas workforce program, which gives me an opportunity to hire full-time for the summer high school kids, and the state pays for this. So I have 2 full-timers at my discretion the rest of the summer, but then they're going to go to part-time. And then if I've got one graduating high school, one that's going to stay with me part-time, but she can only work after school. So I'm going to wait till the fall, see if that all turns out, and then if I still need a part-timer, I may hire another part-timer, but to fill the vacancy that's leaving.
But what I'm saying here is, this is an ongoing position, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, once we give you this, you have a full-time person.
Mm-hmm.
And the way you're wanting to keep it is you could go ahead and hire you another part-time person whenever you see fit and want to. Now, what this Quorum Court needs to decide is whether you still have that right, or whether we're making your part-time person, taking the part-time position and making it full-time and doing away with part-time. I'm not saying which way on it, but I'm saying we have to decide that instead of leaving an open door.
The way I read this is that we're increasing a part-time to a full-time position, so part-time goes away.
Okay.
And the funds that are already dedicated to the part-time, whatever's remaining for the year, just need to be supplemented to increase that to a full-time. So I wonder whether or not 15,000 is an amount.
Well, this 15,000 is gonna go with what she already had for part-time.
I don't think that's what she said.
Yeah, that's not what you said.
It's only for the 6 months.
So, we only have 6 months left in this tax year, so that's...
But you still have the part-time money.
Right, but I think what we're asking is the 15,231, is that the entire pay and benefits that this person that is full-time now will receive?
Yes.
So you still have in your budget the money that was budgeted for the part-time?
For part-time, yes.
And that's what Lamont's talking about. Since you will no longer, I'm assuming that we are not going to authorize the part-time position in addition to this full-time position. So the money that you're holding for the part-time position will have to be applied to what you're asking for the full-time position, and we will give you money for the difference.
Okay.
Is that what you're... Yes.
But you will need to come back to us at
Yes.
the time you need a part-time.
Yes, we'll see with this Arkansas Workforce Program, I may not.
Denise, how many full-time employees do you have over there?
Currently 3, including me.
So this
This will make 4.
So are we creating another position?
Creating a full-time position, but taking away the part-time.
So, do we need to rewrite this ordinance to say that the part-time position is terminated, it becomes a full-time position, and the funds for the part-time position will be applied to these funds?
Well, I think what we're doing here, let me clarify. What we've done is Johnny's has taken what she's paying her part-time and figured for the next 6 months to pull her up to full-time, but the money for her part-time position will stay there. Correct?
That's what I was planning.
That's how we've written it. So in the fall, if it looks like when she does lose her workforce help that the state pays for, that the county is not paying for, she may need to pull in a part-timer, and we'll have that money in her budget for that. I believe that's how
I don't
we
think that's gonna be
right?
Lamont?
That's how we'd like it to be.
Now, I don't think this ordinance will do that. I think it's one or the other. We're either going to give her a full-time position, and we need to take the amount of money available for the part-time position and apply that to the difference of what it would take to upgrade that.
Well, why would...
That we're adding a position to...
Correct, and that's the money that she's asked to budget from her carryover, to take care of this full-time employee. But let her keep her part-time position, so we won't have to come back and put money back in there for her. That's I believe how we're trying, she'd like to do it, right?
Then you're adding the full person.
That's what you guys are approving
today.
today, to add the full-time. Now, come next year, of course, this will change to make it for a full year that she'll bring into her budget.
That's what we're not.
Personally, I'm in favor of her having a full-time person instead of part-time, but not both, not at this time.
I agree. So,
Because the way this would be, we would be adding a full person.
Correct.
And really, all we're wanting to do is make a part-time person full-time. That's what the ordinance says. Would like to have their part-time employee move into a full-time position.
so it's not adding an additional employee, it's moving a part-time employee to a full-time position and losing the part-time position.
And I don't believe Johnny's would like to do that. I think
No,
what she'd like to
this is
do
the way it's
is...
written.
So you'd like for us to bring this back next month? To hold it and...
I move to table this and bring it back next month, with clarity and what we're trying to do.
I'll second that.
Yes, move the table, Lamont second, any more discussion?
Well, I think we all understand what she's trying to do, and it says what she's trying to do. I think we can go ahead and carry on voting on it. And if she needs help later on, the fact she is.
But we've got to vote on the table.
Got a vote on the
That's right.
table, call for the
Discussion
vote.
about it.
All in favor?
Yeah.
Opposed?
No.
How many?
Three noes.
Okay,
Make a voice vote. Keep up with it.
we're gonna take a vote on...
Roll call.
Okay, Mr. Deep,
Yes.
Mr. Blake,
Yes.
Mr. McNeely,
No.
Mr. Mills,
Yes.
Mr. Phillips,
No.
Mr. Reed,
Yes.
Mr. Ritchie,
Yes.
Mr. Briggs,
No.
Mr. Swafford,
No.
5 to 4.
So that's tabled. That was a vote on whether it's tabled.
Correct.
Well, next item of business, new business is under C. You guys, Amy, please.
Be it resolved by the Quorum Court of the County of Carroll, State of Arkansas, resolution to be entitled, a resolution declaring a vacancy in the office of Justice of the Peace for District 2. Whereas Dan Mumaw, the elected Justice of the Peace for District 2 for Carroll County, is moving out of the county and has therefore resigned his position. And whereas it is an obligation of the Quorum Court of Carroll County, Arkansas, to declare that a vacancy has occurred in District 2 and that an appointment is needed to fill this position. Now therefore be it resolved by the Quorum Court of the County of Carroll, State of Arkansas, 1, a vacancy is hereby declared to exist in the office of Justice of the Peace, District 2, Carroll County, Arkansas. 2, pursuant to the Arkansas Code annotated section 14-13-1309, the Carroll County Quorum Court will vote on whether to declare this vacancy and request an appointment by the Governor on June 21st, 2013 at 10 o'clock a.m. at the courthouse in Berryville, Arkansas. 3, the resolution shall become effective immediately upon its passage and approval.
Move to approve.
Motion to adopt, Matt, second, any discussion? No discussion? Call for the vote.
Mr. Deaton?
Yes.
Mr. Flake?
Yes.
Mr. McNeely?
Yes.
Mr. Mills?
Yes.
Mr. Phillips?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Mr. Ritchie?
Yes.
Mr. Briggs?
Yes.
Mr. Swafford?
Yes.
Next item of business is under D. The resolution, would you read that please, Ms. Emmy?
Be it resolved by the Quorum Court of the County of Carroll, State of Arkansas, a resolution to be entitled, a resolution of opposition to the January 9, 2013 designation and recognition of the White River and its watershed as the Second National Blueway, and special opposition to a Blueway memorandum of understanding being entered into by federal and state bureaucrats pertaining to our lands and waters due to lack of proper notification or implication and due to failure to seek approval, involvement, or input of any kind from Carroll County. 1. Whereas on January 9, 2013, agents of the U.S. Department of Interior hosted in the Little Rock an announcement/news release ceremony to announce that the White River and its watershed, 17.8 million acres across 60 counties in Arkansas, Missouri, had been named the nation's second national blueway. The only 2 U.S. congressional delegates named as being present for this announcement were neither one of the representatives of the vast area of North Arkansas pertaining to the White River/watershed. The 3 U.S. congressional delegates who do represent the White River/watershed area of Arkansas, Senator John Mosman, Representative Steve Womack, and Representative Rick Crawford, were not present at the ceremony, and it is not known if even they were aware of or had been involved to the naming, designating of the supposed White River/watershed blueway. Also, no county officials of any of the affected areas of Arkansas were meaningfully informed nor known to have been invited to the presence at the ceremony. And whereas the federal law requirements of the National Environmental Policy Act, NEPA, and the Clean Water Act, CWA, and other federal statutes require that all conservation programs be balanced with equal protection of the customs, cultures, and economic economy of the areas conserved or preserved. Yet the language of the Blue Way Memorandum of Understanding, MOU, contract plainly lists cultural preservation and sustainable economic opportunities to be provided for only to the extent compatible with the agency mission's goals, objectives, and priorities. While the overall language of the MOU contract is solely about machines to conserve and preserve the entire watershed, including working lands and waters. And 3, whereas no definition of the working lands and waters is given in the MOU. And 4, whereas Carroll County has adopted a comprehensive land use and management plan according to the provisions of federal law at 40 CFR 15-01, 7A1, and was either informed, notified, or invited to participate in the Blue Way process as required by federal law. And 5, whereas such violation of federal law by federal agency is not balanced conservation and preservation with protection of custom, culture, social, and economic vitality, plus their failure to fulfill federal law requirements to inform, include, and involve county officials in all plans and proceedings of federal/state programs or projects, etc. In our outstanding thereby notifies and voids all their bureaucratic attempts and effects which have take place up to this present time for the purpose of designating or naming of White River/watershed as a national Blue Way. And for 6, whereas the whole appearance of and the general list of participants in this ill-conceived Blue Way attempts to show reminiscent of all similar to the now infamous effect of 1996 by the U.S. Department of Interior, U.S. Fish and Wildlife, Arkansas Game and Fish, and other state and federal agencies to submit the same general area. Ozark Highlands/White River Basin to the U.S. Man and Biosphere MAB program, which had the same goals, objectives, and strategies as does this Blue Way newcomer. The 1996 MAB attempt was aborted when further Governor Huckabee demanded AG and SE to withdraw.
So therefore be it resolved by the County of Carroll, State of Arkansas, Carroll County has every intention to continue present conservation practices as is mandated by laws that are consistent with historic and balanced provisions of the Constitution of the State of Arkansas, and will therefore neither recognize, cooperate, participate, or partner with, nor submit to any so-called Blue Way designs of any type or kind due to the violations of federal law noted above, and due to the failure of the Department of Interior and its affiliates as outlined in the Memo of Understanding to consult with the elected officials of each affected county within the proposed Blue Way as required by law in their attempt to manage the lands and waterways which are encompassed by said counties. B, Carroll County calls on Governor Beebe to demand immediate withdrawal of Arkansas Game and Fish Commission, Arkansas Natural Heritage Commission, and Arkansas Waterways Association from participation in or support of the White River Watershed National Blue Way. C, Carroll County calls on our U.S. congressional delegation to demand immediate withdrawal of federal agencies from imposing a national Blue Way system of any type or kind upon White River Watershed, and to refrain from entering into a memorandum of understanding for any purpose, now or in the future, pertaining to the lands, air, water, etc. of Arkansas, unless county governments have been fully informed, involved, and consulted, and have agreed to do so based on widespread local support from the public and private sectors. And further, our county also calls on our congressional delegates to take special care in the future to prevent any attempt of any other similar federally designated collaborative framework Memo of Understanding contract in Arkansas again. Move to adopt.
One move to adopt, Larry second, any discussion?
I could just discuss it for a minute. This is what we passed our, I can't remember the title of it, but we passed it several years ago to require that we be consulted and involved in any designation of our county lands and waters as part of a federal system, and they're supposed to have come to us. They didn't. In reading the Memo of Understanding that they entered, if you read it, it's got a lot of boilerplate, very vanilla language. There is no mention of any local control, any local participation. It's all about state agencies, federal agencies, other people being involved. As I read it, it will give this authority that we're giving will create a possibility of them expanding the whole county. The whole county is part of the White River Blueway, not just the White River area. It covers the whole county, and it will allow them to expand to the Kings River, to Osage Creek, to every waterway in the county. Their rules and regulations. Nobody came to us. Nobody talked to Sam. Nobody talked to Quorum Court. As far as I know, nobody talked to anybody in the county about it. As far as I can tell from just preliminary looking at it, this was done back in January without a lot of fanfare. I had heard that it was published in some papers, but I didn't see anything about it. And it directly affects us. The Kings River runs right through the middle of the county. We have lots of creeks and streams that go through the county that will all be affected by this. And that's why we passed that, I can't remember what we called it, Larry?
Land
Land use plan back 5 or 6 years ago.
Land use and management plan.
Yes, that's why we passed that, so we would have to be consulted on anyone taking jurisdiction of our land and waters. And we weren't consulted. Nothing came to us as the governing body of this county, as far as I remember. So I suggest that we pass this and send it in to Governor Peavy and our congressional reps and everybody we can, and get some involvement. I don't know exactly what it does. The language in their memo of understanding is very vague, but nowhere does it talk about any local control, nowhere does it talk about consulting local officials, nowhere does it appear to give us or this residents of this county any input or participation in this plan. So I don't know what we can do, except if we pass this and send it in, maybe we'll get some help from our congressional delegation.
I think that help is already being generated. If I could read from today's Democrat Gazette, said that some Arkansas congressmen have become suspicious of the White River watershed's designation of America's second national blueway. U.S. Senator John Bozeman said there's great confusion among the populace about what the January 9th designation entails. Federal officials said that blueway designation helps local, state, and federal agencies coordinate conservation efforts, but opponents concerned about property rights call it a federal land grab. Bozeman said he and the people of Arkansas need more information about the program. Until that information is made available, Arkansas may need to opt out of the program, he said. And if you continue the article, it appears that all of our congressional delegation is moving against it, except Senator Pryor, and he probably hasn't read the tea leaves yet. I suspect he'll get on it also.
Good. Let's just move against it too.
Yes, sir.
I would like to make a comment.
Yes.
My name is James Hallway. I'm a resident of Carroll County for the last 16 years. There's a lot of confusion and not much analysis here. My bottom line recommendation is that you table this to get more information. A lot of the information has been in the news media. There's a kind of public relations campaign that has been promoted by this one group that has gone to all the quorum courts and so on, and you haven't had representation of the groups that are leading the Blue Way effort. Let me make 3 points. One is the history of the Blue Way is that the watershed groups, such as Kings River Watershed Partnership here in Carroll County, and the activity of Nature Conservancy, USDA, and the Army Corps of Engineers in the lower Delta, the Delta project down Lower White River, showed that by collaborating, they can address problems of water use and conflicts between different stakeholders in the watersheds. And so really, this is kind of extremely ironic that it would be rejecting a model that has been shown to work, is that you get the stakeholders together in one room. This is kind of like the kindergarten rule, is all the Blue Way is to set in place a process that will get all the people together at the table in one room and to learn to play and work together nicely and to share their information and work together. The Blue Way, there's no new authority, there's no new regulation, there's no new powers, etc. There's a memorandum just that at the federal and state level, these agencies and also the 26 people who signed the Blue Way deal, include the Arkansas Canoe Club and the Ducks Unlimited, etc. All these people are involved in water. We're all connected by water, and the idea of the watershed concept is that all the stakeholders in the area who use water, who generate wastewater, who need pasturage, need the irrigation, whatever the water usage or is, that they sit at the same table and discuss their various needs and negotiate things out. And so the Blue Way sets in stage a recognition, a national recognition for Arkansas that you're rejecting. Like I remember the Buffalo River, that was not a good idea, huh? So they're rejecting that when really it sets in place the exact kind of thing that you're talking about, is the people who develop land use laws for Carroll County can sit down with the federal agencies, the state agencies, the conservation groups, the people who are in business development, whatever, share their ideas and work out accommodation for each other. So it's a process. It's a process.
Thank you. As a member of the Board of Directors of the Kings River Watershed Partnership, I'd just like to comment that we have had no contact with anybody about this. We've heard nothing at all about it through the Watershed Partnership. I've been on that board for 6 or 7 years, and we've had no contact at all about this. So his talk about us being involved, and the Kings River Watershed is strictly a local, the partnership is strictly a local partnership that tries to monitor and help maintain the Kings River and stay in the loop on the Kings River. We were never notified or involved in this in any way. So I suggest that we go ahead.
Two things. First of all, I would be embarrassed to put my name in the affirmative to the inflammatory resolution that was submitted for adoption by the various quorum courts. I was so embarrassed when I read this that I refused to sponsor it. I think it is incendiary. It goes way beyond what is necessary to prove the point that there may have been lack of communication with regard to the comprehensive land use plan. Secondly, in the memorandum of understanding, and one of the other reasons I declined to sponsor was because I learned about it 2 weeks ago and was deluged with a ton of information, a lot of which was very time-consuming to digest, and I wanted to be able to understand what I was doing before I agreed to take on an issue. Under the implementation strategies is to employ voluntary and incentive-based measures within the National Blue Way system to not a fiscal obligation document. Nothing in this document obligates the parties to enter into contracts or funding instruments. Nothing in this document is intended to authorize or affect the use of private property or is intended to be the basis for the exercise of any new regulatory authority. This is a study group to try to get parties together to better understand and appreciate the resource that we have. I call for the vote.
Did I respond to that?
Let's vote.
Let's vote.
Mr. Deaton?
I'm having a hard time understanding this ordinance myself. At this time, I'm going to vote no.
Mr. Flake?
Yes.
Mr. McNeely?
Yes.
Mr. Mills?
Yes.
Mr. Phillips?
No.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Mr. Ritchie?
No.
Mr. Riggs?
No.
Mr. Swapper?
Yes.
5-4.
So passed.
item of business is under E. Would you read that, James, please?
We're gonna read this draft, is that what we're doing? Or Ron, you know?
No, I'd like to, under E, I have passed out the draft in a possible ordinance. It's strictly a draft, it's for discussion purposes only. I put this on here because we have problems come up in the county, and we're gonna have to deal with it one way or another. The problem, has to do with the sheriff withdrawing some of the services involved in dispatch and the operation of the county's dispatch and police systems. I don't know why he's done it. I talked to him a little bit early before as much was done as has been done. But it appears to me that what the sheriff is doing is taking away a big part of the purpose of central dispatch, which is to allow the officer on the road, regardless of his jurisdiction, to know what is happening, or what the records are, or what's available, and it's kind of frightening. I'm not sure why he's doing it. I don't know what the purpose is. I don't know what it accomplishes. I know that the cities are very upset about it. The cities of Berryville and Green Forest, the two that use the central dispatch. Eureka has its own system, and do not use it. We have several people here from Green Forest and Berryville, and I know Mayor McKinney has been involved in this with the sheriff for some time, and I'd like to ask him to address it and tell us what he sees in it and what worries him about it.
Thank you, Mr. Floyd, from Quorum Court. Sorry I'm here again. I thought we could put this thing to rest. But, after receiving the sheriff's letter, I think I sent you all a letter and a copy of it. And this is a public safety issue for our officers and the public, and we, as a city, I'm speaking for Berryville, and I think that we're not going to have it. I don't know what the game is here, but we're not going to play it. What I've asked the Quorum Court to do to avoid the litigation is to reappropriate $100,000 from the sheriff's budget to the city of Eureka Springs, and they've agreed to start dispatching for us. And I think, my definition of dispatch, and I think most other people is our officers get the same service as the county officers. That's all we're asking for. That's what we had before all this thing started. I met with Earl Hyde and Mayor Morris and the police chiefs. I've been in discussion with Charlie. And Eureka Springs is willing to help, very willing. And the first year would be about $100,000 because there would be some startup costs, making all our equipment compatible and getting everybody on the same page, and maybe some tire changes, and there'd be some, transferring warrants and information from one to the other. And then after that, Earl said he thought he could do it for about $35,000 a year. So after that first year, but I was asked if the Quorum Court consider reappropriating that money from the sheriff's budget out of sales tax to provide. It does say central dispatch. I thought everybody's agreed on that. And that's all we're wanting, and I don't know what the deal is, but I'm not going to allow for Berryville's officers to be out there blind. And that's what this does. They can stop a car, they could have a warrant out for a triple murder, and give them a speed ticket warning and let them go. And they would know what's in that car or anything. So to avoid litigation, I think we should be long, drawn out, and expensive. We'll just let Eureka Springs handle our dispatching, but I think that money should come out of, like the sales tax ballot said, provide central dispatch, and that money should come from that fund and be given to the city of Eureka. And, we, as far as the ACIC terminal, we can use their terminal too. Eureka Springs, between Berryville and Green Forest, are paying 2/3 of that cost. If the sheriff don't want us to pay 2/3 of that cost and wants to pay it all, then that's his cost. But we can resolve this by just letting Eureka Springs do it. They're very willing to do it. I think we'll receive good service. and it'll put the issue. But if this is not done, then like I say, it's gonna lead to some kind of litigation or something, because I'm not gonna let the federal police officers be out there blind.
Thank you, Galen.
I know it's been discussed on what was discussed way back in and what wasn't discussed. The reason that the city is so adamant about this because it was part of the original deal. And I think Chief Bailey does have a copy of the recording of the council meeting where Sheriff Medford and Phil Jackson came and proposed the ordinance. He had it with him, and he had it with him, but I'm sure that y'all can get with him and we want to let you guys hear the recording. Winter time and ask specifically, does this include this half of the dispatching salary? And you hear a response from Mr. Jackson say, I don't know verbatim what it says, but it was an affirmatory, yes it does. So,
Tim?
Good. You know, I've heard the thing, and Mr. Riggs is right in what was discussed, but, you know, that's not the point. The point is the ballot title, the people voted on it, the ballot title says that, and I don't think anybody with a legal mind has looked at it and said it says anything different. And that's all we want.
Ron?
Sam, I have the official ballots for the special election in July of 2000 to cover this, and it specifically says that an ordinance pursuant to Arkansas Code annotated 26-74-401 setting an election to submit for approval of the electors of Carroll County the levy of a 0.5% sales and use tax within Carroll County to be used to construct and equip a jail facility and sheriff's department, and to be used to operate the jail facility and a central dispatch office. Now that's the ballot title. It says a central dispatch office. Yes, sir.
I'll finish what.
Well, it goes on, but that's the end of the relevant part of this.
Right.
Well, first of all, to the cities, don't get mad at us. We're gonna do something about it. I mean, I feel a little tension or whatever. We're as upset about this as you are. And we're gonna do something about it. I don't know which direction that we're gonna go yet. But we are gonna do something about it. For one thing, the sheriff is always, when it's convenient, come up with, well, police dispatch is not central dispatch, they're two different things. They're not to me. The people are paying a tax for central dispatch, and to me, it covers everything. And bottom line is, and I think I can speak for everybody at this table, but I'm speaking for sure for myself, it better cover everything, because we're not going to fund two different dispatches. And we're only going to fund one. Wherever we fund it at, we're going to fund one dispatch, and it's going to cover everything. And I don't see the separating it out. And I know I'm supposed to be the one that's been quoted as always critical of the sheriff's department, but I'm suddenly in the majority, and they is still the minority. But, it don't make sense.
Joe?
If you take $100,000 from his budget, what will that do to dispatch here?
Like I said, we can only afford one dispatch.
What thing I can understand, and like Bill, I've got not as much as Bill does, the law enforcement background, and like the mayor said, you're sending these officers out there stopping somebody, and if they don't know who they're dealing with, I mean, it's like sticking their neck out this and getting chopped off. I mean, it's very dangerous doing so. My point is, if the sheriff says that that's not partisan dispatch, for him to take care of Marble and Green Forest, NCID, and checking tags, what's he gonna do for it then? If he uses it for it, then it's still the same thing as the other cities do. So if he's trying to separate between 911 and police dispatch, what's he gonna do for it? So, you know, you can't do them both.
Get it.
if I get one, you know, and I know the chiefs and the mayors got this letter, but, I mean, after the Quorum Court decided not to go along with this, he stopped faxing documents to the officers. But so the question was asked, who does this apply to? Only applies to the 2 police departments. I mean, so then, that was the first letter. Then the second letter was this, and now it's to the point. Now, in his quarterly report, he quoted that he had 5,501 calls for his quarterly report. If you take that average, that's only 2.5 calls a day. 2.5 calls a day that goes through central dispatch. 90 days, that's 2,160 hours. By that, that's 2.5 calls per hour.
Per hour, not per day.
Oh, I'm sorry. Per day, I mean per hour. But here's the issue I have. I know that something has to happen. The sheriff has put a timeline on with these letters. Whatever has to happen, I think an emergency call needs to be put on it, and it needs to be enacted because it is a public safety thing. The sheriff likes quoting, I can't find law that says that you can't make me do this. Well, here's a 2000, which I passed out, a Attorney General's opinion. Now, this was referring to a constable, but I think it applies to what's going on here. Yes, we can appropriate the funds, but we also in this Attorney General's opinion, said that we can dictate what these funds for. So if we pass an ordinance establishing, this is what central dispatch is, these are the services you're going to provide, and this is what the money's going to come from, I think he has to do it. And if he wants to challenge it, I believe there's also a quotation here from Arkansas Supreme Court, Walker versus Washington County, to clarify this. It says that the Quorum Court has the authority to give you the money, but we can put saying what you can spend that money on. Okay? And I think, and it's like Mr. Momot said before. I mean, we keep fighting this horse, because if we, with this one here, if you get another sheriff that comes in, he's good, and says, okay, we bring it back to central dispatch, then we get another sheriff that comes in and says, I don't want to do it. I think this right here says, yes, you do have to do it. I mean, it's just getting to the point, it is a public safety issue. We need to act very quickly, because there is timelines that is established on the cities. But either way, it's a continuous argument saying, what is central dispatch, what is not central dispatch. I think the argument was, is we can't fund a 911 and a central dispatch, because we don't have a call line. Go back to his quarterly report. We're averaging 2.5 calls per hour. I don't think we have a call volume to have 2 different agencies. Okay, and if he says it's a budgetary thing, go back to his quarterly report. It says all departments are under budget. So if they're under budget, then how is it a money issue?
Sam, I'd like to ask somebody that may know on this Arkansas Crime information, not entering and deleting the information on it. How long does that take for them to enter that information? And I'm sure there's somebody sitting around not doing that, and they could do that. It's somewhere in the sheriff's office.
I was a jailer for Quorum before, and that was one of my jobs under Monty Nichols and Chuck Meckler, is entering documents. All it takes is here, look at the document, type it in, hit enter, send, stamp it, right? No, that's it. Now, he keeps referring to ACIC traffic and all this stuff. I'm going to speculate for variable, but I know for Green Forest, we don't enter that much documents. Not that many documents. We don't run that much traffic. Okay? If you sit there and you have a scanner and you listen to it, you sit there and listen to the amount of traffic that's being done. The majority of it's county. If Alpine officers are working, they run quite a bit of traffic when they're working, but Green Forest runs some. But entering the documents is part of it. That entering the documents has been going on. I've been asking around, how long has the Carroll County Sheriff's Office been entering those documents? I went back to someone saying it's been going on since Leroy Showers was here. But they said they was doing it when they were there. So I wasn't in Carroll County when Leroy Showers was sheriff, so I can't tell you how long ago.
I wasn't here then either, I'm not that old.
So I mean, what I mean is this bill sending our documents to their terminal, this has been going on for many, probably decades, and then all of a sudden it's an issue. To me, it's to take my ball
Larry,
Well, another concern that I have also is, and now I heard this, and there's gonna be some people look at me and think, well, you know, why don't you know that better than you do? Well, Quorum Court members are not supposed to get together except for this meeting, to sit down and talk about stuff. I heard that the sheriff had pulled the commission of the Bearable and Green Forest officers, which more or less deputizes them to be used as backup or respond to a wreck that's a half mile out of the city limits or whatever. Is that true?
If I could, I got a copy of the letter sent to all the chiefs, and it says effective immediately, all deputy commissions issued to the officers of Bearable, Eureka Springs, and Green Forest Police Department are revoked. Commissions will be issued at a later date, but they will be limited to 2 per police department. When commissioned, the officer will be required to sign a form acknowledging that she can only conduct an investigation in the county if the Carroll County Sheriff's Office approves of the investigation. Now, this is just basically what, I mean, the cities, I'm just baffled by it. It's bizarre to me, but what it basically is, it will no longer allow our city officers to go out and assist the county officers, which we do quite often. The guys in the field work great together, but at that level, I don't know what this is about.
Well, like I said, this has me bewildered and what is behind it, because the sheriff always stands here and talks about his people, but they're Carroll County employees, they're our people. He's putting his own deputies at risk if they are out in the county. Now we're talking about, put this in perspective, if something is happening at the outpost, and a city cop cannot come out and help back up that deputy at 2:30 in the morning, that's putting that deputy at an unneeded risk, an avoidable risk, and I don't understand it.
Thanks.
I believe John Bailey is next, I believe.
Go along with Mayor McKinney, just to give you an example, this commission thing, it really serves him and the people of Carroll County more than it does the city. Just yesterday alone, we had a truck that was out north of town that made a wrong turn, got jackknifed, and it became a traffic hazard. We no longer go outside the city limits if we're not going to be covered. We have a responsibility within our agency to protect our officers. We also had a call where a gentleman was punching holes in a wall in the apartment. So obviously it was a domestic violence situation just outside the county. We understand that it may take 15 or 20 minutes for a deputy to respond, so we're happy to help the people any way that we can. So, we're here to help you guys the same way that you guys have always been good to us in the past. Thank you.
Lamar?
2 things. One about the commissions, and what an absurd proposition to have 2 from each department. What, are they going to be on 24-hour, 7-day-a-week shifts? Because if they're not on duty, who are you going to call? Secondly, in terms of the AG opinion, the way you read it, do you think this applies to everything that we're talking about today in terms of what the sheriff is wanting to pull away from?
I do. If we pass an ordinance establishing, because the big question that always is, what is central dispatch is? If we pass an ordinance establishing what a central dispatch is, and then what the duties of a central dispatch is, I think this covers it.
Follow-up. Devin, what is your take on this?
Well, and I just had a chance to look at it this morning. The issue I have with when you start saying central dispatches ABC is you run the risk of leaving something out. And then if you have a potentially problematic person you're dealing with, then they can come back and say, well, you didn't put it in the list, I don't have to do it. And you're coming back and amending it every 5 minutes. So that's the one issue. I think broadly what we're talking about here is dispatch versus central dispatch. The ballot clearly says central dispatch. You're talking about the voters of Carroll County. What did the voters think central dispatch meant? I think the voters obviously thought central dispatch meant the cities were going to be getting services. The voters didn't think that their police officers were going to be going out and not knowing what the person in the car's criminal history is. Do they have warrants out there? You have a police officer responding, they don't know if that driver has a warrant for murder out. If he does, A, he's got a really big motive to whip a gun out and shoot the officer in the face. B, if you let him go and he kills somebody else, you're running serious liability. You want to talk about cost to the county? It's a whole lot more expensive to defend litigation than it is to pay for some ACIC. Now, the ACIC cost, I talked to Richard Fawcett, is $284 per router. There are 2 routers. There are 5 machines at $18 a piece. It's $658 for the base cost per month. Berryville and Green Forest are paying approximately $250 a month, I think. Is that correct?
It's split a third to the county, it's Berryville and Green Forest, so Berryville and Green Forest are combined paying 2/3 with the actual terminal usage.
So
Our
the term-
varies from $240 to $270.
And then there's a 5% per transaction fee, that kind of goes on top of that. But the vast majority of those transactions, again, are probably going to be held by the sheriff. But ultimately, it's the sheriff's duty right now to provide these dispatching services. If he's not going to perform his duty, then there may be some other things that need to happen.
I just like to say that I've given everybody a draft of an ordinance that I just roughed out. It is rough. It's just something that has been proposed, that Eureka Springs, which already has its own dispatch service, has volunteered to help. They want to be paid for the cost of it, and we need to consider that. But apparently Eureka Springs has the ability to take over dispatch for the other 2 cities and the county. And our ballot title says that the county is responsible to use the jail tax money for a central dispatch system, which, as Devin said, it's in common understanding. In reading the ballot title, people are going to think that includes central dispatch for everything in the county. It was a county ballot, the county voters voted on it, and it says central dispatch for the county. So I think we can take money from the dispatch budget and do that. I've prepared a draft of an ordinance just as a discussion point and something to think about. But we have to do something soon if the sheriff is going to do this. We have to have a central dispatch for the county.
Mr. Simmons?
I'm Jim Simmons. I'm Commissioner in Inspiration Point Fire District, and I'm also a firefighter and a first responder. And one of the whole aspects of the thing you guys haven't even talked about is the fire service part of it. And I can tell you from a user of the system that central dispatch doesn't work. It really doesn't work. The other day I was monitoring our Western County frequency. Grassy Knob had a fire going. The chief called central dispatch for about 4 minutes. Never got a call back. They never answered. I got on my cell phone and called, and I said, "Hey, Grassy Knob's trying to talk to you folks." I got some attitude about that, but they said that they had 4 vehicles stopped in Green Forest or someplace like that. And I've done a lot of work with police departments myself. Used to be involved in the sheriff's department back in California. And so I understand about how important those stops are. But when you've got a fire going, that's really important too. So we're not doing something right with our central dispatch. And I don't know how you all, you guys control the money. I don't know how you all take care of that, but something should be done because it doesn't work right now.
Thank you. Danny Hammond, I believe, next.
I agree with the same way you're saying, but I think a lot of that's just a little bit of the people in central dispatch. I think they need a little more training. I think a lot of that's problem. What I don't understand is how can the sheriff fix cities
on who he's going to help and who he's not. He caters to Alpena, I guess, with his thing. And now he's on with him, running Alpena dispatch. But he's got a